Vice President Harris recently went on the Call Her Daddy podcast to talk about the election. And, just as a side note, I believe that that podcast is probably misnamed. Apparently, the people who listen to this podcast probably don't have fathers, and if they do not call them, nor do they call anyone else, because most of Gen Z listens to texting, likes to text people and not call them. Nonetheless, let's listen to this podcast and what it has to say for, America. So, also, I learned that this girl here in the hoodie, Alex Cooper, makes, and I kid you not, $120 million, or has $120 million contract for this, for this mindless podcast that apparently has accomplished nothing. And to that, I say, there's a lot that we can say here, but there's a lot that I have to say for that. But first, let's get into this episode.
Mhm. Former President Trump recently told women, "You will be protected and I will be your protector." What do you make of that?
So he who, when he was president, hand selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade.
Well, actually, there were no protections, and murder is not protected under the Constitution.
And they did just as he intended. And there are now 20 states with Trump abortion bans, including bans that make no exception for rape or incest, which we just discussed.
Doesn't exist.
Which means that you're telling a survivor of a crime, of a violation to their body, they don't have a right to make a decision about what happens to their body next.
Again, this is completely illogical, and she knows it.
Which is immoral.
Really? Says who? Like, I have a standard of morality that comes from God. I want to know what yours comes from. Second of all, just very boring. Very boring.
So this is the same guy that is now saying that? This is the same guy who said that women should be punished for having abortions?
I don't remember him saying that, and if he did, sure, whatever, fine.
This is the same guy who uses the kind of language he does to describe women? So, yeah, there you go.
I honestly forgot what the question was, because it's so annoying and so boring and dull.
I do want to focus on abortion for a moment because 2 years ago, Roe v. Wade was overturned and women lost their constitutional right to an abortion. I put out.
And this woman here. Okay, I heard some clips of this. Absolutely silly and ridiculous. And I guarantee you my IQ was probably like 30, 40 points higher than hers. So, we really have to get into this game. Okay, according to a Daily Wire host, right, they're like, yes, the scourge, not scourge or whatever, but like pretty people can, make all kinds of money just sitting there talking a whole bunch of nonsense. Which, I mean, if that's true, we have to get into this game. This is probably $1 billion business. I mean, I'm pretty sure there are 10 other Alice Coopers out there who can sit around here and yap about nonsensical stuff and make $120 million. I have to get a piece of that game. I have to get into a piece of that game. Maybe we can hire someone, artificial intelligence. Of course, it's going to be, whoever we hire, or whoever it is, it would be miles more intelligent than her. But we have to get into this $1 billion industry of yapping, and apparently people think you look nice, so they'll pay you $120 million. We're getting into the $1 billion yap industry.
Out an episode about it. I flew to North Carolina. Yeah. I went to a preferred women's health center. I met.
Wow. So profound. You flew to North Carolina in support of murder. Good for you. Good for you. Honestly, putting that $120 million salary to work. I would put my $120 million salary, or $60 million, I guess, if we split with this non-existent person that is getting hypothetically hired, or, I get to keep all the profit if we decide to use artificial intelligence. Maybe Ava Walker can have a podcast once we get the motion and voice right, and then have ChatGPT have some yapping. I mean, made her $120 million. I want a piece of the cut. I want a piece of the pie.
With women that were getting screamed at and chanted at and called Baby Killers, and it was the most eye-opening experience I've ever had, because I am a privileged white woman that lives in Los Angeles, and I am so aware of that.
She's basically getting on her knees, like groveling, please, please, I'm not a racist. I'm not a racist. I'm a privileged white woman. Uh-huh. Yes, yes.
I understand that a lot of the younger generation sees things online and is like, what is right, what is wrong, what is real, what is not. Can you
Sounds like a them problem, honestly. Like, what, you don't know what's right and wrong? You see stuff online? Oof.
explain and talk about what is actually happening to abortion access right now in this country?
Yeah. So again, I thank you for what you've been doing.
Also interesting, this is like one time she doesn't have a teleprompter. Expert on this. Expert on this. Economy, teleprompter.
A stage of this and following the stories. So, on public policy, I often tell my team, look, I don't want to hear
Before or after you scream at them and then they quit.
about public policy is a fancy kind of speech or paper. Tell me how it'll affect a real person. So let's talk.
Translation. I'm terrible at speech writing. I'm terrible at writing. And when I do write, I plagiarize. So, put it in basic baby terms for me.
About how it affects a real person. The majority of women who receive abortion care are mothers. So if she's in a state, and by the way, every state in the South, except for Virginia,
Dang it,
has
Virginia.
an abortion ban.
Let's go South. South for the win. We're winning the next CFB championship.
Okay. So imagine she's in a state with an abortion ban. 1 out of 3 women are, by the way, in our country.
We should make it 3 out of 3. Let's go.
And she's a mom. So she's going to have to figure out, one, God help her if she has affordable childcare.
Or maybe just don't get pregnant. Really easy. Now, it's probably harder if you listen to this stupid podcast, from what I've heard. But if you don't listen to this podcast, you have a higher chance of, not getting pregnant. So, let's keep it like that. Okay? So you don't do that, then this whole thing doesn't happen. Right? Logic, people. Logic. I mean, not using logic made her $120 million, and using logic and being sane, has made me $5 on a podcast stream. But we're going to break into this game, and when we do, we're going to overtake her, and we're coming for both these people's careers. Okay, so Alex Cooper, you've already been usurped by a better Cooper, Brett Cooper. I'm coming for your job somehow, some way. Okay, Ava's coming for your job, and Veep here, yeah. Well, you're not gonna get this job, but in like 20 years, I'll be president. So I'll come for both these jobs and wipe both of you out monetarily. Hopefully, live long, prosperous lives.
God help her if she has paid leave. And then she's going to have to go to the airport, stand in a TSA line, sit on a plane next to a perfect stranger.
Well, this is really sad. Really, really sad. Maybe if she didn't, get pregnant, this wouldn't have happened. I'm just feeling really, really, really sad. My heart is broken for these poor people who made a choice and now are living with the consequences of their actions.
To go to a city where she's never been.
How do you know? What are you saying? People in the South don't travel? Seems pretty, I don't know, classistic.
To receive the care she needs.
No one needs to kill a baby. No one. Unless their life is at stake, which it is not. You do not need to murder someone, okay?
She's going to probably have to get right back on that plane because she's got those kids.
Oh, wow. She just figured out that, when you go for a vacation or abortion tourism, as they call it, you have to come back. Wow. Profound. Really profound. Let's hear some more deep thoughts.
Her best friend's probably not with her because that's who's taking care of the kids. To get back in that TSA line, to get back on a plane, to go home.
And that's all if they can even afford the plane ticket.
Exactly.
Or the...
Well, then you shouldn't have gotten pregnant. Just don't. In her own words, don't. I mean, you see how well that worked out? Not. But I mean, this, she can command that. Don't.
The bus ticket.
Exactly.
Because when Roe v. Wade was overturned, I remember my DMs were flooded with
Yeah,
that.
sure. I'm pretty sure they're always flooded. Okay, I've seen the pictures of people who think they can like just date any random um person on the internet. Like, oh yes, he's so pretty. Let me type a DM. Yeah, they're always flooded. So please don't spare me the cry. Spare me the sob story.
Thousands of women.
Thousands. He says, thousands of people texted you. Thousands of people who just changed policy because they talked to some random podcaster who has about 1 million subscribers. Big whoop.
Begging me to help. And
Begging. They were on their knees crying. I mean, I'm pretty sure they sending weeping videos. Probably sending money too. Begging them. Begging.
Yeah.
it's overwhelming. And I can't even imagine. I'm saying that in front of you, but it's overwhelming. And I remember people begging me, like, I just need to afford a bus ticket so I can get out of this abortion desert that I live in the South, so I can.
Abortion desert. I hope they didn't afford that bus ticket. Hopefully the bus broke down and they had to stay home.
Get to a state, but they can't even afford, you know what I mean? So it's like these people are literally landlocked into a position.
Landlocked. Do you see how dumb this person is? And she makes $120 million. I'm going to keep hammering this point in. This woman is basically saying people who make a decision and have to face the consequences of their decision are landlocked. Landlocked. Because they couldn't afford to, commit murder. Landlocked. She's acting like they're in North Korea or something, and they can't escape. That's not what happening. And either A, she's grifting, and $120 million. I can see why. Or B, she's just insanely dumb, and a million other people are insanely dumb.
That they don't want to be.
And here's the thing.
I mean, honestly, if a rock got thrown into this room, the IQ would rise. We got Miss 80. Maybe she has 100 because she's been able to fake her way into a Veep spot. So, you have to be a little smart to do that. If a rock came in here, pathetic.
Here's the thing: is that
Here's the thing.
You don't have to abandon your faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government shouldn't be telling her what to do. If she
Really great, let's try to apply this to other things as well. You don't have to apply your faith or deeply held beliefs to believe that the government should not tell you that speeding is bad. I mean, there's no verse technically against speeding in the Bible. It's only wrong because it's illegal here in the United States and in other countries. So I'm guessing maybe this will say that speeding should be allowed because if my pastor says it's okay, then it's okay.
she chooses, she'll talk to her priest, her pastor, her rabbi, her imam, but not the government telling you what to do. And that's what's.
They're not telling you what to do. They're saying, don't commit murder.
So outrageous about it is a bunch of these guys up in these state capitals are writing these decisions.
Breaking. See, figures out how Congress works. Schoolhouse Rock. She watched the video. She's an expert.
Because they somehow have decided that they're in a better.
Somehow. I don't know. Morality, legality, constitutionality. Words that she might not understand, or I have to break them up into small, little, tiny pieces, like little dinosaur nuggets for her mouth.
Position to tell you what's in your best interest than you are to know what's in your own best interest. It's outrageous.
That's literally every law, but okay.
Yes.
It's outrageous. I mean, daddy gang, to put it in our TikTok terms.
People who are watching this video, I am sorry to announce that your IQs may momentarily drop by about 5 points as we hear Miss Cooper speak in TikTok terms. So let's continue.
I have seen girls on the street walk up to men and be like, do you know where a tampon goes? Do you know how many tampons we use?
Okay. First of all, a few videos ago, I talked about how I like street interviews or things, and you go. So she could be making this up, or she could be lying, right? And to answer a question, no, I don't, and I don't see what that has to do with knowing right or wrong. I don't see what people. I don't see what it has to do with right or wrong. I just know, well, you're not supposed to be in boys' bathrooms for something, because Tim Walz got attacked for that, and then so there's that. And do I know anything? No, I don't care. I don't know, and I don't care. I don't see what that has to do with murder. And okay, that's like me asking someone. Let's say the people were running around like stalking someone with the Galaxy phone, right? And people were writing anti-stalking laws. And Miss Cooper here and the vice president like, do you know what an S pin is? Do you know where an S pin goes? Well, I do, but to the other people, no, I don't know what an S pin is, and I don't know what an S pin goes. I don't see what that has to do with stalking. I don't see what tampons have to do with abortion. These people, stupid.
Do you even know how, like, do you know what a...
Do you know? I can turn that question on to you. Do you know world history? Do you know science? Do you know facts? Heck, how do you even know that you're making $120 million? They could have just told you that and gave you like $1. The kind of IQ that's in here. Average IQ of like 90 combined.
X or Y or Z is of a part of our... And they don't know the answer.
I don't see what that has to do with giving birth. Great, I don't know everything about you. I don't want to know everything about you. So what? Who cares? It's ridiculous. These people.
The first vice president or president to ever in office go to a reproductive health care clinic.
Oh, wow. That's so great. You became the first president to, attend a convention of killers. How good for you. Isn't that nice? Well, she's fringe of murderers and thieves, people. Vote accordingly. Let's move on.
Ever.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Well, yes, because most of them had self-respect. Go to the last administration, of course, wouldn't have happened. And then, I don't know, like Obama and Biden, I guess they had other stuff to do. Bush wouldn't have happened. And then, yeah, before that, of course, obviously wouldn't have even happened because, we're going way far back. Roe v. Wade was only like, 20 years old. So, yeah, of course, really, look at that Joker face. Besides, you do nothing. I heard that you sit around and play solitaire. So, sitting on, you could, spring a visit. I mean, what really has she ever done?
Yes.
I didn't know that, but I guess that makes...
I didn't know that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's lots of things you don't know. You don't need to announce to the whole world that you don't know stuff, okay? Obviously, you do not know stuff. Obviously, if you knew stuff, you wouldn't have this podcast, okay? You'd be coming onto my podcast and talking to me because I know stuff and you don't.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. To your point.
And yet the men are making the decisions about our bodies.
Oh, wow, I can move my hands, people. I can move my hands and think that my logic is good. It's good. Now, the one thing I want to tackle for is this.
The other thing about this point, it's about IVF treatments and access. It's about access to contraception, which is very much at risk.
So, also, why are we talking about hypotheticals? Okay, let's stay on topic.
With these folks, it is about, back to the point about reproductive health clinics. You know what those clinics also do? They do PAPs. They do breast cancer screenings. They do HIV testing. And they're having to close in many places with these bans.
Wow. Let's listen to this logic here, people. So yeah, we murder people lots of times. Okay, that's our main job, 85% of the time. But we do some good stuff on the side too. We help some people out. We offer some medical care. There are other clinics in the world, in places that don't murder people, but can do that for you. Also, this reminds me of there's really stupid like African American books that we have here on the bookshelf or whatever about they were talking about the Black Panthers, which was like a terrorist ish violent protesting civil rights group in like the 60s and 70s. And the people, this was a book from the 90s, the people were like, well, you see, we didn't only do that. I mean, no one talked about the breakfast programs we had. Well, yeah, because, last Saturday you were in the middle of a shootout with the police. So no one cares about your breakfast programs. Okay? That's the same logic here from Kamala Harris. Well, they murder people, but, I mean, you can get breast cancer screening here too. You can get breast cancer screening for free at a church. Just come in October, breast cancer month, they'll probably have a truck out there for you. These people. Absolutely ridiculous.
So think about the fact that for anyone who has gone to one of these clinics, you understand that it is sometimes the most trusted place where people receive that kind of health care, because they walk into those places that are generally staffed by people who create a safe place for people to come in.
Breaking. She has no idea what a pregnancy center is.
Without judgment. So anyone seeking any kind of reproductive health care. And
wait, does she think that breast cancer screenings is reproductive health care? Yeah, so she's just going to expand the term into just, women's health, so then it can't get banned, which is smart from her, I guess.
And wanting to go to a place where they feel safe and without judgment, these clinics have often been the place that people can go. And many of them are having to close because of these laws.
Womp womp.
I was raised Catholic, and
I was raised Catholic. Okay, I'm pretty sure I'm more Catholic than you, and I basically am not Catholic and will debate them on X all the time. But I can pretend I know all 72 books of the Bible. Okay, I can name 30. Okay, I'm not gonna do it now, but I can. I can find books in the Bible faster than you. Combined.
And abortion is a sin. And when I put out that episode,
just for Catholics? Well, Miss Cooper, we evangelicals and Orthodox Christians also agree on that.
But I had a lot of women reach out to me saying like, wow, I live in the South and I never thought about it that way. Like maybe I am pro-choice because I won't get an abortion because of my religion,
right.
But why should we control what someone else wants to do?
What kind of logic is that? Every law is designed to control what someone else can do. In my religion, I'm Christian, very Christian. I don't believe that murder is a good thing. Okay, it's actually a bad thing. I believe that I have the right to control if someone else gets murdered or not. Right? In fact, this episode is getting recorded on Columbus Day. Right? And the locals, the Indians, were doing human sacrifices, and the Spanish explorers in Columbus and people like that in the 1500s put a stop to that. I guess you might be the kind of person to be like, well, why should the Catholic religion, which is what these people had, the explorers had, stop human sacrifice? I don't believe that my religion should do that. Like, I'm against it, but I mean, if you don't have my religion, then no. There's a moral standard of right and wrong, no matter who you are, what you are. And the standard is Christianity. The rules, like 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill.
And it's interesting, Alex, to your point, what I'm finding as I travel, people who 2 years ago, before Roe v. Wade was overturned, people who felt very strong about that they are anti-abortion, are now seeing what's happening and saying, I didn't intend for all this to happen. And I think that's also why in state after state, so-called red states and so-called blue states, when this issue has been on the ballot, the American people are voting for freedom. Because
the freedom to not kill people. Of course, she's dumb and can't read, and probably is getting briefed by people who hate working for her. So, just telling her to tell her stuff.
Ultimately, it's about, look, this is not about imposing my thoughts on you in terms of what you do with your life or your body. It's actually quite the opposite. It's saying the government shouldn't be telling people what to do.
Hi, Daddy Gang. Thank you so
Shut up. Just Okay, so one of the things that I wouldn't criticize her for, because she has lots of things to be criticized. First of all, stupid podcast name that, like we said, is misnamed. They don't have fathers and they don't call them. Second of all, um, basically supporting a terrible, terrible agenda. But people were criticizing her for wearing a like sweater to meet the VP. Like that's disrespectful. I'm thinking that's the most respect that she deserves. And that's the one base thing that she did. So in conclusion, I guess she only deserves $60 million. Actually, no, $40 million for one base thing and two biased bad things. God bless. Pray for the nation.